Wonder Wellies. The other day, a flying saucer arrived from Mars and hovered over Timothy's farm. It frightened the pigs and turned the cow's milk sour, until Timothy's dad came out of the barn and shouted, "Go away, or I'll call the police!" And to his surprise, that did the trick. Now, Martians may be clever, building machines to fly them faster than light across the universe, but send for a policeman and they get as jumpy as Mexican beans. Timothy watched the saucer disappear over the hill. He'd never seen anything move so fast. One moment it was there, the Martian crew waving their arms and trying to talk to the pigs, and the next moment it was gone. Then Timothy saw them. A pair of Martian Wonder Wellies stuck in the mud of the duck pond. They must have fallen out with the saucer by mistake, thought Timothy. And they look about my size. What a stroke of luck. But unknown to Timothy, the Wonder Wellies were quite unlike the ordinary Wellington boots you find on Earth. Timothy sat down at the edge of the duck pond and pushed his feet deep into the boots. He stood up, and to his great surprise, he began to bounce about. Then he took one step. Sadly, Timothy had not read the instructions on the side of the boots. If he had read them, he would have seen that the Wellies were set for walking on the moon of planet Earth. Now, one moon step is much bigger than one Earth step. To his astonishment, Timothy found himself at the top of the village church, hanging on to one hand of the clock. Just then, P.C. Smith came wobbling along on his bike. He stared up at the old church clock. "Come down at once!" he shouted at Timothy. "Come down, do you hear?" "I can't. I'm stuck." So P.C. Smith took out his little black book and wrote the words, "Naughty, rude boy, playing with church clock." If you've ever been stuck on a church clock, you'll know how very uncomfortable Timothy felt. A small crowd gathered on the pavement to stare. "Really, children these days?" snorted an old lady. "I don't know what the world's coming to." A motorist stopped and took some photographs. P.C. Smith was calling for the fire brigade. 5 minutes later, a fire engine arrived with a very long ladder. It took the firemen 7 minutes precisely to lift poor Timothy out of the wellies and carry him down to the ground. "The clock's 12 minutes slow now," roared his father. "Don't you ever climb the church again, do you hear? It's straight to bed with you and no tea." And the Martian wellies? Well, they lay stuck in the gutter on the church roof, completely forgotten by everybody. 8 million miles away, however, in the depths of darkest space, Captain Silversides, the commander of the flying saucer, suddenly put his head in his hands and said, "Oh no, we've left our Wonder Wellies on Earth. Turn round quickly, we're going back." On Earth, P.C. Smith suddenly remembered the wellies too. He parked his bike at the old church door and fetched a ladder from the vestry. Half a mile away, Timothy was just creeping out of his warm, cosy bed. He too had remembered the Wonder Wellies. It was the strangest of meetings. The flying saucer, hovering over the church roof, sent down a wire rope with a hook on the end to retrieve the boots. At the top of his ladder, P.C. Smith reached forward and groped for them. And from behind the old church wall, his mouth wide open, Timothy watched in amazement. Just as P.C. Smith grabbed the wellies, the hook on the end of the wire rope caught in the back of his collar. Captain Silversides, thinking he'd hooked the boots, gave the command, "Haul away!" And P.C. Smith, clutching the wellies, was suddenly jerked into midair and was swinging underneath the flying saucer. A mile above the village, he dropped the wellies. Once more, they went spinning down to earth. P.C. Smith was hauled aboard the flying saucer. Captain Silversides was not pleased with his catch. He would much rather have had the wellies. He didn't like the look of P.C. Smith one little bit. And when the policeman took out his book to report the flying saucer for illegal parking, the captain liked him even less. "Send him back," he said to his crew. "I've had enough of these interfering earthlings." Next morning, the village woke to a peculiar sight. The church clock had stopped altogether. And there, stuck at the top of the tower, his arms round one hand of the clock, was P.C. Smith. Timothy waved. The old lady snorted, "Disgusting behaviour for a policeman. I don't know what the world's coming to." The motorist returned and took more photographs. And the Wonder Wellies? Well, they went spinning down to earth that night and have never been seen again. Perhaps they landed in your street or in your garden. But if you should ever find them, for goodness sake, take care and read the instructions on the side.